So the tone of Devorim shifts dramatically. Everything we've been doing till now. And everything we've been doing till now is the story of, how would you summarize the Torah so far? Give it to me in one sentence. What is the Torah till now? What have you been experiencing? We're learning week after week. We're going through Chumash. We went through Shmos, Vayikra, Bamidbar. What are we witnessing here?
It's a timeline.
Of what? Timeline of what?
In Mitzrayim, leaving Mitzrayim.
Oh, so what is the timeline of? What is happening here?
In the Midbar, going into
what is the big picture happening? What's happening? I'm just telling Tilly yes. What's happening in the Torah? Like, what is happening in this whole Torah? Is this just a whole bunch of separate stories? Story A, story B, story C, story D, story E, story F? Is this like a collection of Hansel and Gretel tales, or even of spiritual tales? Maybe Tully can help us out. What is the story of the Torah, my friends? It's just the whole story of the Torah till Devarim.
I don't know.
How could you not know? You're Jewish?
I'm Jewish, but there's a lot of stories.
Right, so what is the story? That's exactly the question.
In one sentence?
What is the story?
Again, the story starts how the world, gets created, and then it ends. It ends how basically Moshe Rabbeinu passed away.
Yeah, but Rashi tells us that we're not interested in how the world was created. Rashi tells us in the first Rashi that why does the Torah start from there and not from a Chodesh Hazel Lachem? The first Rashi. Do you know the first Rashi in the Torah?
No.
Rashi says why does the Torah just start from the first mitzvah?
Right.
So Rashi says because God is going to give the land of Israel to the Jews, and the nations of the world, the United Nations, is going to say Jerusalem belongs to some other nation. It doesn't belong to the Jews. And the only answer you're going to have is that God created the world and He gave Eretz Yisrael to the Jews. So, open Rashi. If you want to see the Rashi, I'll put it on the screen. It's the first Rashi in the Torah. Give me a moment so I could do a screen share for you.
What's going on, Tom Jervis,
What?
I just got footage. Two guys tried to break in the back of my house.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got your gun?
No, I have my Gemara, my Shemesh, and that's it.
That's it. You got what you need.
Yeah, they got let me ask you, if somebody comes to the house, think I'll have the guts to shoot him? The answer is no. So why even get through that? And if I do and I miss, then it's even worse.
Okay, first Rashi in the Torah on screen. Permit me to do a screen share, Tully. Just don't, if you need to shoot him, call Doc, because Doc's got the equipment for an appropriate reaction that can ensure that the guy doesn't sue you after. Maybe the kids will sue you, but the guy's not going to sue you if you have Doc come help you out.
There's no it's a Kel Male.
It's a Kel Male. Okay, so Rashi says, Bereshis bara Elokim es hashamayim v'sa'aretz. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Amar Reb Yitzchak, L'hayat tzarich lahaschlos ha'Torah, ela me'achodesh hazel lachem. The Torah should have started, the Chodesh hazel lachem, the first mitzvah. She mitzvah rishon shouldn't stop by Yisrael. Why does it start me Bereshis? Rashi says in the name of Rabbi Yitzchak Mishum Koyach Maisav Higid La'amai Losis Lam Nachlas Goyim. He quotes from Tehillim. She'im Yomer Umas Ha'olam, if the nations will say to the Jews, you are thieves. You're stealing a land that doesn't belong to you. You're stealing the land of Palestine. It doesn't belong to you. Hey, Ma'imrim Lahem, you could say back, all the earth belongs to God. He created it and He gave it to those who He wants to give it to. And it's ours. Did you ever know that, Rashi? Chaim Buddha, you knew that?
I know it, I didn't remember it.
Okay, so what is the story of the Torah?
Getting into Eretz Yisrael?
No, you're too micro.
Again, I still don't know the story of the Torah, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
The Torah is not-
What is the story? It's a lot of stories, but what is the big story? There's one big story.
Deriving the mitzvahs?
Too micro.
Okay.
I need help.
From the rabbi.
I need help here. What is the story? I'm not going to tell it to you. I want you to answer it yourself. I know you're dealing with shooting guys in your yard and all the good stuff, but just
I'm not dealing with anything. But I don't know. Again, from the beginning to end,
yeah.
the story is not. It's all about the looks like all about mankind, basically.
It's about the creation
Humans in
of.
general.
It's about the creation of a nation. The nation of God. It's the creation of the Jewish people. And
Correct.
it has a purpose for mankind, but the story is the story of creation of the Jewish people. And the story starts with creation and the failure of man, which demonstrates the need for the Am Hashem. Avram Avinu starts the process. Yitzchak, Yaakov, Gullus, everything going into Eretz Yisrael, and it's all one story: the creation of the people of Hashem. Everything else fits into that. They get the Torah, they have to live by mitzvahs, they're supposed to live in Eretz Yisrael, they have a relationship with Hashem, there's a bris ben Absarim, they're not going to be abandoned. But it's all one big story. And it's the path they travel in becoming the nation of Hashem. Do you agree with that intuitively? Is that not the master narrative?
Yes.
I agree with it, yeah.
Okay. So everything we had till now was a collection of events that were part of the narrative of the creation of the people. Chumash Devorim differs radically from the rest of the Torah in that it's the Mishnah Torah. It's the review. It's the review of what happened.
Correct.
And it's kind of a perspective, a retrospective. As we say, this is what happened, A, B, C. Now let's talk about what happened. And the events of Devorim are essentially taking place on one day, the day Moshe is going to die. And on this day when Moshe is going to die, Moshe, before he dies, we already had in Matas Maseh where he's going to give over the Jewish people to Yeshua. But now on the day he's going to die, he has closing words for the Jews. And with that, we begin the narrative of Devarim with the final sets of mitzvahs, the final Musar, and the final everything. And that's why the name of the Chumash is Devarim, words. It's the words of Moshe to the Jews. So why is Bamidbar called Bamidbar?
That's Kifa.
That's Kifa. It's the period when they're in the desert. Why is Vayikra called Vayikra?
Also, he called on the people, no?
The higher calling of the Jews. They're called to Kedusha, Tyra. Why is Shmais called Shmais?
Also goes to all the tribes.
It's the identity of the Jews, the names of the Jews. That's where their identity is set. Why is Bracious Bracious?
Beginning.
The beginning.
Obviously, like where it all started.
Right. So Bracious is the beginning, but they don't really have an identity yet. They have Avram Avinu, they have Yitzchak, they have Yaakov. They go to Mitzrayim.
They don't know who they are.
They don't know who they are. They form an identity. Shmais, a name is identity. They form an identity. You have an identity as a Jew. What is your identity? You have a higher calling. That's the whole Vayikra, Karbonis, Avodas Hashem, Kedushin Ta'ira.
Right.
And then we go into Bamidbar. Now that they have this higher calling,
Before they come to the,
let's see how they live it, and now we have the retrospective of Devorim.
I love that. Wow.
All ties in.
Perspective.
Chaim Baruch, you knew that?
Now I know.
Chaim Baruch's sitting here, he's videoing me.
Yeah, but he's quiet. So what's the point of sitting there and you're quiet, Kamar?
Chaim Baruch, what is the point of you being quiet?
Yeah, Chaim Baruch.
Yes.
Okay, so
Can I see Kamar?
I'm here.
Is someone there?
I'm here.
Yaakov's there?
Yaakov left already.
Okay, so just to recap that, to summarize, simple ideas. Devarim is words. Torah starts with Bereshis in the beginning, all the things that happened in the beginning. In the beginning there was a world. Adam Rishon messed up. Then the people got really bad. Avodah Zarah spread throughout the world. Noach sort of could have saved the world, but he failed to save the world. Avraham Avinu came in, determined to bring Hashem to the world. Hashem says, this is my person who I'm going to use to build the Klal Yisrael with. And that's we get into the building of Klal Yisrael. And that's hard. It's Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and they go down to Golos, and they develop in adversity, and they survive the adversity. And they come out of the world of Tumah, and they're strong enough to become a Jewish people. They go to Har Sinai, but they got a lot of problems along the way. And they have an identity as the Jews, and they have all the mitzvahs of a higher calling. They live in the Midbar, and even in the Midbar, we see constant rebellion and unhappiness, and all the problems of humanity, which will manifest themselves throughout humanity, from Lashon Hara to sexual crimes, to Avodah Zarah, to anger, to insecurity, all the every human failing that a person can have. I don't have enough money, I don't have enough food, I don't have enough taiva, I want more women, I want more this, I want more that. Everything that a human being can have, all the experiences encapsulated in the Midbar. And as a nation, the holy nation is being built. And they come out, Moshe says, okay. Moshe says, before I die, we need to have a conversation. Elad var Dibra Moshe al Kol Yisrael be'Ever Yarden, but Midbar, as he's about to die, he says, okay, now we're going to have this beautiful conversation. Let's see what happened. Now, do you think if Moshe is going to have a conversation with the Jews, it's going to be a incredible conversation, or it's going to be also a lot of pain of let's have a real man-to-man of what happened and what you need to do?
The latter.
It's going to be a hard conversation. So Rashi says
it's a real conversation.
A real conversation.
This is the Messiah that he's going to create right now for the rest of time.
Yeah.
So he knows that, right?
And that's what Rashi tells us, that if you look at the names of the places mentioned here, none of these places they're not real names. They were never in a place called Teufel and Lavan. These places never existed. They're not real. So if they're not real, how can the Torah says, Rabbi Yochanan says, I looked in the whole Torah. I never found a place called Teufel. So why does it say they were in Teufel? He says it's a remez. And because Moshe is going to give Musar, the Torah wants to conceal their sins. The Torah says it in a gentle way to remind them of their sins, but not in an aggressive way. And in fact, there's an amazing Rashi here that I'm going to put on screen and I want to read to you. Because this Rashi, if people would follow it, it's Pasuk Gimel. Permit me to put this on screen. If people would follow this, we'd live in an incredible world. We do live in an incredible world, but the world also has some issues. So let's jump.
More issues than we think.
Yeah, there's some issues, you know. We all know Baruch Hashem, it's good and all, and we just got to deal with the issues.
Yeah.
So, can you see, if you want to see my screen share, Rashi says, Achrei HaKaisai, the events of Dvorim took place after they hit Sichai Melech HaMairi, who was in Cheshvan. So Rashi says the following. Omer Moshe. Can you guys all see the screen?
Pasuk Gimel.
Daled. Rashi on Daled.
Oh, Moshe.
Yes.
Amar Moshe, Imani Mechichem, if I'm going to give them Musar before they enter Eretz Yisrael, they're going to say about me, what did this guy ever do for us? He's just too critical. Ain't a boy Lakanta or Limtsa he's a critical guy, you know, he's not such a happy guy, Moshe. And he can't even take us into Eretz Yisrael. So Rashi says, Lafika Chimton, he waited. He waited until he's about to take them into Eretz Yisrael, but he had already beaten Sichon and Og. And they see they can go in. The way is clear. And now he says, I did my job. I took it to Eretz Yisrael. You're going to go into Eretz Yisrael? Now I'm going to give you Musar. Let me read you another Rashi. Go back to Pasuk Gimel. It was in the 40th year, in the 12th month, in the first of the month, Moshe spoke to the Jews. And you want to say this in Hebrew or English, guys?
12 months. The first day of the month.
The end of the year, the last month of the 40th year. Rashi says, and it came to pass in the 40th year, in the 11th month, on the first of the month. It's in the last month, the end of the period. This tells us that he gave the Musar only shortly before he died. Because he died on the 7th day of Adar, which is the 12th month. So it's a month before he died. Okay? So what does Rashi say? He gave them Musar. He learned from Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov only gave Musar right before he died. And why is that? Rashi says there are 4 reasons not to give a person Musar except shortly before they die. One is you shouldn't give Musar and have to give Musar again. Okay? Second is you don't want the guy to be embarrassed. If you give Musar and you see the guy later, the guy's going to be embarrassed of you. And the whole long Rashi, I'll do this in Hebrew and I'll read it to you in Hebrew and I'll translate.
You shouldn't give this to someone that's not going to listen to you, you know?
Omar, Yaakov said, Reuven, B'niata, why did I not give you Musar all the years? Because you shouldn't go and join Esav. So Yaakov was afraid that if he would give Musar to Reuven would become a guy.
This is twisted parenting.
Twisted parenting. Twisted parenting 101. If I give you Musar,
Exactly that. You're going to leave the house and go to the...
you're going to go to Esav.
Yeah.
Let me give you love.
That's it. This is twisted parenting.
I'll give you Musar later. I don't have to give you Musar today.
Exactly.
Aaron, you ever knew this Rashi?
No.
Next time your Rebbe gives you Musar, you have what to answer him.
Yeah, which is quite often.
Yeah. You say, listen, I'm going to join Esav, man. I'm out the door.
But you have to wait a little bit to make sure the Rebbe doesn't die right away.
Right.
Because if the Rebbe
And it
dies,
says the
if the Rebbe
4
dies, he isn't allowed
reasons.
to.
Ein mechichen es Adam. So you shouldn't give Musar and he shouldn't see you, etc. As it says in Sifri.
But what does it mean, Eila Simach Lamisa?
Before, for us it means be patient. And Yeshua lo yichiach es Yisrael al samach lamisa. Yeshua also only gave Musar right before he died, and Shmuel, and Moshe Rabbeinu, and Yaakov Avinu. They were very, very careful. And even this Musar was gently, and it was with remiza, and he didn't go out, and he didn't at all. So I always understood this, that listen, you can give a little bit of Musar, but if you're really going to rip the guy apart, you can't do it while you got to be careful. So Moshe was giving the Musar in everything that happened. It was a global Musar. Global Musar, you wait. Even though waiting is a big risk, because all the years you don't give Musar, maybe the guy's going to stay bad. Right? If you wait too long, maybe the guy's going to stay bad. But the global message of life, you could You know, Musar is overstated. That's the bottom line. You do better by just modeling how to live and hoping your children live the same way and they see how you live and all that.
And this is all based on the ego.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
People that they don't live by Altitude and
Is this an amazing Rashi?
100%. Yeah. First, I like the whole idea of how the Torah, the story of the Torah, and also this Rashi is an unbelievable Rashi because it's so true, and everybody knows it's true. But nobody.
Yeah, you have to differentiate teaching somebody right from wrong and Musar.
Yeah.
So
And going back to the next Rashi in Dalet, Rashi says, if I'm going to give them Musar before I take them in Israel, they're going to say, what did you ever do for me?
It has to be done at the right time.
The right time and the right place and all that.
So how do you differentiate teaching right from wrong and giving Musar?
I don't know. But one thing is for sure, Chazal didn't want us to take this Musar of Moshe Rabbeinu and make it the pattern of who we are. You know, we're good learners, so we want to model ourselves on great men. And you see Moshe giving Musar here, so you can get out of control a little. You can say, okay, this is the Jewish way. Let me give Musar. Let me zittle him. Let me tell him what he did wrong. And the Torah is all about the greatness of man. Now there was punishment. There was always immediate punishment. But the few times Moshe got angry, he was punished. Shimon HaMorim, he doesn't make it into Eretz Yisrael. He forgets a halacha. He gets angry. He forgets a halacha.
Yeah. He definitely had a hard life.
Yeah.
A lot of responsibility.
Yeah, and the rest of Parshas Devorim and Chumash Devorim is kind of a recap, and it's a tremendous amount of recap with new perspective on everything that happened. And he adds in things that you don't even know had happened because the Torah never saw it, never spoke about it in detail before. So Moshe Rabbeinu was sharing things here that we didn't know before, and we find out what happened. And here's another amazing pasuk. Let's go to pasuk test. V'ayim aleichem be'esehi leimar. Moshe says to them, "La'uchel levadi lo seiseschem." I can't carry you. He's telling the story how it's too much. He needed Yeshua. Frek Rashi. After Moshe Yachol Ladnes Yisrael, Moshe couldn't take care of all the Jewish questions. He took them out of Mitzrayim. He split the sea. He gave them the man. He gave them the slav, and he couldn't take care of them. So Rashi says, Moshe Rabbeinu says that Dayanim get punished for the Jews, and because they get punished, to carry all the sins of the Jews, that's very hard. He says the Dayanim of the nations, they don't get punished for the people. But the Dayanim of the Jews, they get punished for the people. And then right away, what does Moshe say? Hashem Elokeichem hir be'eschem. He made you many, and you're like the stars of the heavens. And then while he's giving them Musar, he gives them a bracha. Pasuk Yud Aleph, Chaim Baruch, read us Pasuk Yud Aleph.
Hashem Elokeichem v'seichem.
Loud.
Hashem Elokeichem v'seichem. Hashem of your forefathers. Yosef Aleichem, add to you. Kechem elef pa'amim.
He says there should be 1,000 more. So even though he's criticizing them, he says, don't think I don't love you. I want you to know I love you. I would like to have 1,000 more like you. Even though you were too much for me. But I want 1,000 more like you. And then he adds in something else, and he should bench you like he said. So Rashi says, what's the addition of he should bench you like he said? Go ahead, totally read the Rashi.
Let me look at Rashi here. Yeah. Okay, my shit. Okay, what's my Moshe. Okay, yeah, here you go. Moshe absolutely, right?
Kitzvah. Are you placing a limit? He said 1,000 times. That's a limit.
Yeah.
Go on.
The what? You run up the same way Hashem promised Avram Avini, basically that will create a nation, right?
Yeah.
Right? He said the what? I will hear so what? I still don't know the answer.
So Hashem said to them, Hashem said to Avram, you're going to be like the stars. So why am I only saying 1,000?
Right.
So he says, listen, the 1,000 is from me, but God is going to make you like he said, like the stars. So even in the Musar, he's telling them how much he loves them and he wants more of them and all.
Here.
So
yeah, but still an interesting question why he says it that way, because why can't you saying like what does it mean?
Well, he's saying Kasha Dibur Lachem means
not a regular way.
Hashem should bless you exactly like he said. What did Hashem say? He said you're going to be like the stars. Anyway, this is the story of how to give Musar. And we don't have a lot of time because we got to end in 5 minutes. But just it's an amazing journey of Moshe Rabbeinu sharing with them a new retrospective on the entire events of the Midbar. And that goes through Moav, Midian, Eretz Rephaim, the travels, all the bad things that happened, Sichain, Bashan, the Egel, the Meraglim. He goes through the whole deal. And he finishes up with Bnei Gad and Bnei Ruvain. And he says, in the end of the Parsha, Yeshua is going to take over, and don't be afraid. Even though I'm going to be gone, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid because God is running the world and it's going to be good. All right, Rabbi Sai. Sorry I started late this week.
Perfect.